ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Going Umbral. Today, we are going to be looking at the mistress of magnetism, Miss Magnetism herself. We are looking at Meg. Now, if you've been watching my channel for pretty much since the start, you'll know when I first started Warframe on the PlayStation 4, Mag was my first choice of Warframe. And I think it was about 5 or 6 episodes in between episodes, I managed to trade for a Mag Prime. And honestly, Mag is a very, very powerful Warframe. She's a very powerful Warframe. Survivability is kind of meh. She can restore her shields. However, with a health-based Mag, if you don't pay attention to your health against high level targets, she will die quite easy. However, to offset that, I do have the Furious, my old trusty lifesteal Furious, just for the little bursts of health if I need it, and a weapon of choice for Mag this time round in this episode is the Quanta Vandal. But anyway, let's jump into the abilities. We have Pull. Magnetic force pulls enemies towards you, stunning them and bringing them into melee range. Honestly, I don't really run melee with Mag very often, but it is good. It's a good crowd control ability because Pull can literally pull entire groups of enemies towards you. So if you're being shot at and you can't go anywhere, use Pull. Drags them towards you. You can bullet jump over them and basically reorganize yourself. And you can chain pull them if you need to. So you can pull them once, go somewhere, pull them again, rinse and repeat. Now, Magnetize creates a magnetic field around the target, ensnaring nearby enemies and dealing damage over time. The field reacts to bullets and shards created from Polarize to increase damage. This is Mag's one of Mag's nuke abilities. Basically, Magnetize, as it says, creates a big bubble and it traps enemies inside. Now you can cast multiple Magnetize on every enemy inside the bubble. And if you shoot inside the bubble, it does increased damage. It does damage to the enemies inside. And you can pair that with Polarize, in which basically Polarize sends out a big wave. It emits an energy pulse that depletes enemy shields and armor. Again, very handy ability to be able to strip armor, especially with Mag. Creating shards that become deadly. When mixed together with Magnetize, shields of allies touched by the pulse are restored. So not only do you restore shields to your teammates and yourself, you are stripping armor and you're depleting corpus shields. Like, Polarize is a very, very handy ability to have. And not only that, it's synergizing with Magnetize, in which it's doing more increased damage. And not only that, when you've got Magnetize up, you can use Pull and you're doing 600 damage. So, all of our powers are starting to synergize, Magnetize the bone crush. Magnetize the bones of the nearby.
Alert has begun. It marked on navigation.
How dare you interrupt me, Lotus? Crush. Magnetize the bones of nearby enemies, causing them to collapse upon themselves. Basically, this is an AoE nuke. On lower to mid-level gameplay, even like level 80s, it's going to take a very huge chunk of damage. We have a 31.5 meter radius. That is a very huge radius for a crush. And here we have Mag's passive, bullet jumping near items basically draws them towards you for easy collection. Essentially, this passive is the augment for pull. Is what pull used to be. The augment for pull used to be. The augment for pull used to be that you use pull and you could bring energy and ammo to you. However, when people started nuking and going about 200 plus minutes into survival back in the days, they changed that. Now you have to actually bullet jump to get that collection power. Right, for the mods we have growing power. Because the Quantum Vandal is a status weapon, growing power is just mandatory for Meg. So now we're sitting at 225% power strength, which is huge. We have transient fortitude for ability strength. We have fleeting expertise for efficiency. As you can see, we're not overly investing into duration. Excuse me. We're not overly investing into duration, only because I don't want my magnetized bubbles out there for a very long period. I want to be able to cast one, shoot a couple of rounds into it. Obviously the enemies are going to be shooting, their bullets are going to be attracted into the bubble, and I just want it to go boom. So I could throw out loads of bubbles, shoot a couple of rounds, whoever's shooting inside it, their bullets are going to be ricocheted inside, and it's just going to set off a chain explosion. We have continuity for power duration. We have power drift for a chance to resist knockdown, and ability strength. This is a fundamental mod in my opinion. A chance to resist knockdown, especially against higher level targets, is the difference between life and death. Especially if there's a heavy gunner or a bombard nearby. Hunter's Adrenaline. Again, as to our survivor ability, I've come to very highly rely on this mod. Just because 45% of the damage we would have taken to health is going to our energy instead. Augur Reach for ability range, Stretch for more range, helping us to sit at 175% range. So now we can hit a very large area. What's an Umbral mod? What's an Umbral build without the Umbral mods? We have Umbral Intensify and Umbral Vitality for that very sizable boost in health and power strength, helping us sit at that very comfortable 200%. Now, from my research on Mag, you want to have 200% power strength, because essentially when you shoot bullets in there, I don't understand completely how it works, but when you shoot bullets in there, it kind of gets fragmented. Basically, it allows it to bounce around 4 times before you have to shoot in there again, is what my basic understanding of having that much power strength does. Right, the Quantum Vandal. Originally for Mag, I was going to use the Ferox. However, with the Ferox and Mag, it didn't provide the fluid gameplay I was looking for. I found myself standing in places trying to charge the Ferox, and that just wasn't what I was looking for in a weapon for Mag. So during my research, I discovered that beam weapons actually get a very sizable bonus when used with Mag's Magnetize. And the alt fire of the Quantum Vandal, which for those who don't know, lets out an energy cube. If you shoot it inside Magnetize, thanks to the punch through that we added onto the weapon, it can actually go through enemies about 2-3 times before it explodes, which is huge, because it's pretty much bouncing through groups of enemies, then boom, that damage is getting added to the bubble, and when that blows, it's going to do increased damage. Anyway, for the mod setup, we have split chamber for multi-shot. So now essentially we have a 90% chance to fire faster. Faster is my understanding of multi-shot is to be believed. We have extra damage from Serration. We have Point Strike, bringing it up to 55% critical chance. That is a very sizable chunk. That, coupled with Vital Sense, we have a 5.3 times multiplier. So we are going to be shrekking with the Quanta Vandal. We have Shred for fire rate and punch through. Now, fire rate on a beam weapon increases your chance of getting a status proc. So for beam weapons, if you have a spare mod space and you don't know what to do with it, I would highly suggest you put in fire rate. We have thermite rounds. Because the Quanta Vandal's based element is electricity, we can get radiation viral on this weapon. However, what you must be aware of is the electric element of the Quanta Vandal is always applied last. So for example, if I take off thermite rounds for fast hands, you can see I have a base electricity. It's always going to be applied last. So you can make an elemental combo, and whatever element you put on next is going to combine with your electricity. But enough chit chatter. We're going to go into Sanctuary Onslaught with Mag. See how she performs. And see if she can compete with Korra. Because for those who don't know, when we did Korra's episode not too long ago, I was chatting in her episode, and we actually got to round 5, which I usually leave at round 4, and completed it because she got so good.
When the time comes, I will open the next conduit.
Honestly, excuse me. Honestly, the Quanta Vandal is a very good, solid primary weapon for Mag. As you can see, we're shrekking these guys. The Crush can absolutely destroy. However, if we get the critical boost from our Smeeta Kavat, this weapon becomes utterly insane. We are doing, I believe it's guaranteed, yeah, guaranteed yellow crits. Get out of here. Let's show off the ult fire. So you can set little traps with the ult fire. Crush doing work. Now against armor targets, I would highly suggest you, and shielded targets, you use Polarize. However, you want to try and gather them up, because one default about this build is that Polarize works off duration mostly than range. Oh. So the travel time of Polarize actually works through duration, which obviously we only have 50% duration, so we're not getting a very big travel time on Polarize. Well, as you can see, Mag comfortably sitting at 75%. Honestly, the secondary weapon I was going to pair Mag up with was actually the Cyanoid Gamma Core. And honestly, I might still do that. I might just give her a melee weapon with Blast Strike. Because honestly, the one default about this Mag setup is sometimes you can't regenerate your energy. And if you're like me and you're getting very unlucky with energy orb drops, it can be very, it can turn real bad real fast, essentially. I mean, part of me even wants to try pair her up with the cyanoid helio core, which for those who don't know is this Cephalon Suda weapon, melee weapon, which actually scans targets. Now let's go for a bit of a Magnetize. So as you can see, that our alt fire bounced around one time before it exploded. Which I know may not seem like a lot, but honestly, put it into perspective, that's doing the full damage of what the explosion would have done before it explodes. So obviously we're getting like, what was that, 3,000 damage from the explosion. See? Now don't get me wrong, there are loads of weapons you can pair up with Meg and be disgusting. And be absolutely ridiculous with. One such combo is the Pops, which is those little globule things that came with Nidus. Or you can even do my favourite shotgun, which is the Phantasma. I know it used to be the Corinth, but the Phantasma just stole my heart, man. So essentially, with the Phantasma, you can put in the globule. You can shoot the globule in there, and it will, much like the Quanta Vandal, it will bounce around before it explodes. And the homing darts that are left from that globule will zoom around in Magnetize, doing just some very ridiculous things. But as you can see, Mag can very comfortably sit at 73% efficiency. Against higher level targets, yes, you're going to want to bring a squad, because honestly, against the second you let your guard down against high level targets, it's the second you're going to get downed. And plus, by casting Meg's powers, as you can see, we have 1,000 overshields. So that's helping her survivability quite a bit. Obviously that's our cap, 1,650. No, don't leave me, cube. There we go. Oh yeah, if you're gonna run Mag, definitely bring, in Sanctuary Onslaught, definitely bring a weapon that can help you restore your energy. An energy refilling Super Vandal or Supra. One of the Cephalon Suda weapons. You just need something to help you, especially if you're getting unlucky with energy drops. And honestly, there's not really much else to say about Meg. She's a very good Warframe. Much like with most of the Warframes, she's received a rework. That must have been about a year or so ago now. It was a very long while ago. But she received a rework, and honestly, it made her very, very powerful. And that is the current rework we have today. She can lock down areas, she can destroy, she can strip armor. And she has very good scalability. For those who don't know, Magnetize, when an enemy shoots into it, it's scaled through the portion of their damage. Which obviously, as enemies get higher and higher and higher, they're going to be doing more and more damage. So essentially, Magnetize scales as much as you need it to. It scales as much as you need it to. So, for the crazy people who go against level 1000 enemies, it will scale to level 1000 enemy damage. Honestly, it baffles me why you'd want to go to against level 1000s, but you know, if you're one of those people that like to go against that kind of high level, you will die with it, but Mag is a very solid choice, because she can scale. And honestly, I do enjoy making these builds. It makes me pick up a frame, look at it in a different light. Honestly, the sad thing is, the only frame I've had to rip on while doing these builds, well, I wouldn't say rip on, more have a discussion on, is Ember. Because of the way her powers are and her passive, I feel Ember needs a very big...
Experience unmatched stress. Increase your effort.
Alright, Samaras, man, chill. Yeah, essentially, personally, I feel Ember needs a complete stripped down rework. Personally speaking. Because yes, the damage is there. She can kind of control with accelerant, but as terms of survivability, it's just not there, guys. It's not. I'm sorry for all the Ember mains, but you know, it needs to be said. She needs to be changed to the point where she can sustain herself, even if they cut a bit of damage away from Ember. If they cut a bit of damage and replace it with maybe like a health regen, if she inflicts a fire proc on an enemy, and it's not got to be like a super buff and health regen. Just do like 20 or 30 points of health for every fire tick. Actually, that might be a bit much. Do about 15. If you do about 15 for every fire proc. Alright, we're going to be ending this anyway.
I have opened a new data conduit.
But yeah, Ember's the only warframe so far that I've had any anything really negative to say. And it's not even really negative, it's just basic. Like what could be done to make her better. But anyway, as you see, Mag could hold herself very, very well. With Crush, Polarize, Magnetize and Pull, she can control, she can destroy. And honestly, she is a very powerful warframe. If you've ever been on the fence about getting warframe, one, I would highly suggest you do, at least to give it a try. And if you want a warframe that can sustain you from beginning to whatever classified endgame it is, Mag is your girl. Not only that, her deluxe looks awesome. So if you're a fan of Cephalon Suda, you can colour this to match the Cephalon Suda theme. But honestly, that is all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye now.